Hi class. I'm wanted to make this video to check in. There's a few things that I want to go over. First of all, if you are feeling like, oh my gosh, I'm overwhelmed, don't worry. All right. I'm going to ask you to trust me. Right around week 2 last semester, I had three students who were ready to drop. Like, oh my gosh, I can't handle it. It's too overwhelming. I talked them out of it, and they all passed the class. Starting next week, we're going to go over some reading strategies, and unfortunately on the online, in this online class, it's going to seem more complicated than it needs to be. But I am a believer in these strategies. And I always say this, I am never going to make you do something that I don't do myself. About 4 or 5 years ago, a group of us teachers, right, that were trying to create this class that you're taking right now, we took this program called a reading apprenticeship. We did a think aloud, and you're going to be wondering what that is. Well, you're going to do one of those next week, right? And everything that I am going to make you do, I do right now, right? I think I went back to college, as you know, if you read my letter, I think I went back to school 27, 28. I couldn't pay attention, right? I fell asleep after reading a page. There's a reason why. That was something that we talked about before this moved to online, but I used to do a whole class on what the internet does to our brains. The internet has actually rewired our brains, right? By constantly staring at a screen, we expect the information to come to us fast. So what happens when your teacher says, okay, go home and read 2 chapters, you sit down, you want that information fast, and you can't concentrate. But you can retrain your brain, right? It's all about balance. Okay, but anyway, back to the point of this. So I just ask, if you feel like that you're kind of worried, you're stressed out, talk to one of us, right? Because I'm a firm believer that if you stick with it, and if you have a growth mindset, that you will, that you're going to pass this class. So feel free to send me a text, shoot me an email. I don't care. Like I said, this job is my life. That's not a bad thing. I love what I do. Save for a rock and roll star, right, or a professional musician, there's no other job that I would rather do. So, I will meet with you on a Saturday, a Sunday, it doesn't matter. But some things came up, some questions that I wanted to address. A couple of people wanted to know what time our Zoom session starts. I got some texts. So this is an online class. We're not going to have any required live Zoom sessions. However, I want to have them. And our first one, right, which will be optional, is going to be next Tuesday at 10. And that Zoom session is I'm going to create another Padlet. And that was another question that I have to address. And it's going to give you a platform, anonymous, right, where you can ask questions, raise concerns about the class, and I'll be there. The coaches will be there. We will talk about that. You'll get to see our faces, and we'll probably do a pre-reading activity. Okay. Another question I got, where's the English 95 show? Even though technically 95 is a separate class, we don't treat it as one, right? So when this class started, it was never like, oh my gosh, we're out of time, let's stop, right? And now we're going to go to 95. That was never the case. Right? So a regular 1A class is 3 units, right? This 1A 95 is 4. So in order to kind of separate it from the regular 1A, we had to create a class, which was a 95. Well, as some of you might have found out, it was kind of a pain in the butt to register. So to make a long story short, next semester 1A 95 is going to become 2A. You will get a grade in 95, right? When you pass 1A, you're going to get a P for passing 95. The other thing that came up, there's this letter. Don't worry about the letter. Well, You have to do it. Don't worry about format. Don't worry about commas. Don't worry about grammar. Just put your thoughts on the paper. Right? If you don't want to share some personal stuff, don't. Focus on school. Just tell me why you're here. What is it you want to do? I don't know if I mentioned this in the letter. I was like 26, 27. I was tired of waking up at 2 a.m. I busted my back. Right. I worked for Frito-Lay, a beverage company. I went back to school. I thought I was going to be a PE teacher, but I found out that those jobs are really hard to come by. So I wanted to know, okay, well, what's an easy teaching job to get? Math. I couldn't survive pre-calculus. I had a fixed mindset, which you'll know about later. And I stumbled onto an American literature class and fell in love. I mean, I hated reading in high school. So I guess the moral to this story is never say never. So yeah, but don't worry about, I think the letter is kind of a good reflection. I mean, you can go back as far as you want, or you can just talk about a last semester. So don't worry about that. If you do it, you turn it in, you're going to get a 50 out of 50. I'm going to read them and I'm going to give you some verbal feedback. Okay, next, let's talk about this Padlet assignment because something came up last semester. There was some confusion. It's my fault, right? And this is one of those examples that I was telling you about. But anyway, so the Padlet assignment for this week, right? So let me go. Let's see, where's it at? It's a pre-reading discussion. Okay, so in it, I talk about the importance of pre-reading to kind of get some sort of prior knowledge. It does help. I'm a firm believer in that. So basically, I got a few texts, a few emails wanting to know, why isn't my name showing up? Well, I wanted that to be, anonymous, basically. So what you do is you go and respond to the quotes in the Padlet, right? So you're getting this prior knowledge. And the assignment that you're going to get graded on is the discussion down here, right? This is what counts. So you hit reply, right? So I gave you some quotes. We're going to read this next week, right? So you're going to see these quotes next week. But I thought these were quotes that kind of gave us a pretty good idea of what this was going to be about. So that's why I wanted some predictions and some questions, okay? You're probably wondering, this is so confusing. All this, right? If we were in a classroom, I would have got those giant white Post-it notes. I would have typed up some quotes. I would have pasted them all over the walls. We would have got up and we would have marked them up. But we're not in a classroom. We can't do that. But I like that assignment so much, I wanted to recreate it. So that's what Padlet is. Padlet is like a virtual bulletin board, okay? So make sure you do that. And finally, speaking of Padlet, I'm a little, let me fix this real quick here. I'm not very savvy when it comes to technology. Anyway, not that you wanted to see my face, but okay, so this is the Padlet I was talking about, right? So this is going to be in the announcement. Right? Any question, any concern you have about the class, right? Go ahead and type it up. Let's see. What would be a good one? Will you go over MLA formats and grammar? Right? Yes. But the worst thing you could do is get a grammar book and say, okay, let's go read about fragments and comma splices. That doesn't work. What works is when you look at grammar within the context of your own writing. By the end of the semester, you will be better at that and you will know what MLA format is. Okay, so that's an example. Any question you want, we will talk about those on Tuesday. So I guess that's it for now. Sorry for the long videos, but I think they're important, and hope that you are. I hope that you can make it to the Zoom session on Tuesday.